Donald Trump is having a catastrophic Monday morning. His attempt at trying to manipulate the markets by claiming that once again the United States is about to have a deal with Iran has instantly backfired in his face. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson coming out with a statement saying, "Do not listen to Donald Trump. We are in no negotiations with the United States. The only group of people Iran's speaking to right now is Oman over Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. The United States is flailing," Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson is saying. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, you have 3 refineries that have been struck by the Houthis in the past 24 hours. Another major strike by the Houthis. And what the Houthis of Yemen, who are allied with Iran, are focused on is disabling the route of pipelines to do an end run around the Strait of Hormuz. And so to be clear what's going on right now, Iran has a stranglehold over the Strait of Hormuz. The Houthis have a stranglehold over the Bab el-Mandab Strait, enforcing essentially a full blockade on Saudi tankers and other tankers that they believe are their enemy, and at the same time right now disabling the pipelines that do the end run around the Strait of Hormuz. So as you know, the United States ran out of its precision munitions, it ran out of its interceptors, so Donald Trump was forced to basically beg for a ceasefire. Donald Trump was posting all those deranged AI images last night, like, "We won, we beat Iran, we're invading Karg Island." I mean, all that deranged stuff I showed you this morning. Then Donald Trump this morning called up Israeli's News Channel 12. That's like Donald Trump's go-to news source right now. He calls up Israeli media and he starts saying things like, "We're not going to give Iran that much time. They're begging for a deal." All the usual stuff that you're used to him saying. I'll just say exactly what he said. Trump to Channel 12, that's an Israeli news channel. "The mediating countries asked me not to launch the military operations. I believe the Iranians want to reach a deal, but the room to get a deal is very short. We are in deep talks, strong talks, very powerful talks," Donald Trump says, "with Iran now, and the mediators told me, give diplomacy a chance, but I don't have much time. We will do very powerful strikes if they don't agree to a deal, if they don't agree to my deal. There's nothing to gain and nothing to lose about doing these discussions. I'm ready for strong, powerful military action if talks with Iran fail." That's what Donald Trump's saying. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson says, "Don't pay attention to him. Don't pay attention to Trump's statements to the media. We have no negotiations with the United States. The negotiations we are having, which may sometimes be subject to different interpretations, are the ones we are holding with Oman, focusing on making necessary arrangements regarding the Strait of Hormuz. We will never allow the United States to open up its own route in the Strait of Hormuz. We control it. We'll never give it up. We'll die until, we're forced to give it up. Ain't happening." He goes on to say, "I don't know how you think the United States is managing the war, a war that was supposed to lead to Iran's collapse, our collapse within 3 days, forcing Iran to surrender. And yet now, after 5 months, the United States is stuck in a quagmire of their own making," Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says. "This is not war management. Committing war crimes every once in a while and taking pride in them is merely flailing in a disgrace created by their own hands and tempted by the Zionist regime. Naturally, they must pay the price for it." Now, Netanyahu is heading to the United States right now. He posted this image with his wife and said the following: "I am on my way to Washington for a meeting with our friend, President of the United States, Donald Trump. This is my 8th meeting with him since he was elected president, more than any other international leader. It is a great privilege, but it is also a great responsibility. I am setting out on this mission with one clear goal: to ensure the security, strength, and future of our dear state, Israel." Donald Trump's plan, Israel first over the United States of America, as the people here are suffering. And the fact that he's taken 8 visits to the United States should also be a massive red flag, while the United States is now in never-ending wars in the Middle East. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. Now, you know, Saudi Arabia first attacked the airport in Sana'a, which is the Houthi controlled area in Yemen. That was like a little bit more than a week ago. You remember that? And so the Houthi said, okay, you attacked the airport in Sana'a. We are going to unleash hell on Saudi Arabia. Now, Donald Trump says, I'm going to unleash hell all the time. And then Donald Trump says, but they want to do a deal. They want to do a deal. When the Houthis say they're going to unleash hell, they've unleashed hell. Okay. And they've destroyed multiple Saudi refineries. And they've started with this a few days back. Remember, we've been covering that. We've been showing you that Sentinel satellite footage from China, where no one else was really focused on this in corporate news and talking about what was really going on. I mean, some international news was, I want to give credit, but really here in the United States, not the case. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. Show the B-roll of this. A massive column of smoke is rising from Saudi Aramco's Abqaiq oil processing facility, the world's largest and the eastern hub of Saudi Arabia's east-west pipeline, with multiple impacts in the past few hours. Now, Saudi Arabia lied, and they claimed that we struck down all these drones. They said they were coming from Iraq. No, they were coming from Yemen, and the Houthis were sending it, and you did not strike them down, okay? Maybe you struck a few down, but they had direct hits into the Aramco facilities, and this is a massive, massive loss for Saudi Arabia. So with both ends now of the east-west pipeline damaged and burning from these Houthi strikes, you have the Abqaiq facility today in the east. You had the Yanbu port infrastructure. Remember the Yanbu port the other day that was hit by the Houthis? Saudi Arabia's Hormuz bypass export strategy has now been cut and destroyed. Do you see what Iran has done very surgically? They plan this level of climbing the escalation ladder if the United States would do this. So control the Strait of Hormuz, Iran. Control Bab el-Mandab Strait, Red Sea, the Houthis, part of the axis of resistance. And now Saudi Arabia, UAE. So UAE thinks it's going to use Fujairah to try to do end runarounds. Saudi Arabia thinks it's going to construct these pipelines to do end runarounds, the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandab. And you hear these like propaganda, so-called oil experts manipulating the market saying, Iran doesn't have cards because over the next few years, these Arab nations will build pipelines to go around the Strait of Hormuz. Well, that will take years, okay? Years, maybe a decade. But in any event, they're not, because the Houthis in Iran are going to constantly strike it. You think that they're just going to let that happen while you continue to engage in these never-ending wars against? What do you think is going to happen? Take a look right here of the satellite imagery from today, showing large fires, a heavy smoke plume, and visible burn scars at the Saudi Aramco Abqaiq facility, the kingdom's largest crude processing plant. Saudi Arabia says its air defense intercepted these drones from Iraq. They just like make stuff up in Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's very similar to, the way we hear CENTCOM lie about everything is what we hear from these Arab nations now as well. We destroyed all of the drones. There may have been some residue that fell. There may have been some debris that fell. It's like, no, what are you talking about? Take a look right here. Another angle of Saudi Aramco's Abqaiq refinery struck by drones. You'll see it right here. Now, this is the world's largest crude oil stabilization plant, processing 5 to 7% of global oil supply. Destroyed. Now, just take a look at it. 5 to 7% of the global oil supply. Boom. And what? And our corporate news is like, we're having peace talks. Things are progressing the way we want. Donald Trump says that Iran's begging for a deal and that one may happen soon. Take a look at the Sentinel-2 imagery captured today, confirming the extensive fires and possible damage, clearly visible right here from the Abqaiq oil facility. Also, new strikes from Yemen hitting the Jazan Saudi Arabian oil facility. Saudi Aramco's Jazan oil refinery still burning also more than 2 days after being struck by Houthi ballistic missiles. You could see it here in the Sentinel-2 imagery. and Chinese Beijing's 3A satellite imagery capturing the Jazan oil refinery yesterday, still burning 3 days after the strikes. And then it was hit again today, and there were more refinery storage tanks that were hit as well today. That's what it looks like. Also, show you some more Sentinel-2 imagery showing those burn scars over here at the Abqaiq oil facility. Also, more U.S. MQ-9 Reapers being struck down, these reconnaissance strike drones being shot down in Iraq right now. You could see that over there for yourself. I'll zoom in on what's happening in Russia right now, where there was a major Duma meeting today, where it began with the chairman of Russian State Duma, Volodin, saying Russia, Putin victory over there, and Putin says Russia will achieve all its objectives in the special military operation. This is a historic stage, difficult and fateful for Russia. Today, this is understood not only by the deputies of the State Duma, not only the deputies of the State Duma, members of the Russian government, the presidential administration, and regional leaders, but every ordinary citizen of Russia understands it as well. We are going through a period of struggle, and members of parliament represent their voters. That is, they represent the people of Russia. And I'm showing you that as well because I'm letting you know Putin has no desire to resolve the war with Ukraine, to get a ceasefire anytime soon. Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, Iran, they see the United States security umbrella collapsing in the Middle East. They see the United States running out of its interceptors, and they see a great deal of vulnerability right now amongst anyone who is allied with the United States. These other powers see the weakness that Donald Trump shows, that our corporate news in the United States tries to hide, but it is very obvious to them what is going on right now. And so I want to cue you in on what's happening across the world right now, because this is a dire time, especially with wars going on around the world, with America being so utterly weak right now.
You hear that? That's the sound of feeling good. I've been reaching for Olipop a lot lately because it gives you that classic soda taste, but it's the feel-good soda. And I love that they've refreshed the look of their 6-gram fiber line. It's that same Olipop I already loved, full of flavor and digestive health support, just with a fresh new look that really shows off the feel-good soda inside. I have the classic grape right here, which I have to say is definitely one of my favorites. Well, what makes it different? Olipop is high fiber, has less sugar than traditional soda, and it's made with real ingredients and a thoughtful formulation, including a functional ingredient blend that supports digestive health. It's one of those simple swaps that just makes you feel a little better about what you're drinking. If you want to give it a try, here is a great deal for you. Buy any 2 cans of Olipop in store, and they will pay you back for 1. It works on single cans of any flavor at any retailer. Just head to drinkolipop.com/Meidas to clip your coupon. That's drinkolipop.com/Meidas. You can find Olipop in the soda aisle and with the chilled beverages at thousands of retailers nationwide, including Target and Walmart.
At the same time that Netanyahu is taking this trip to the United States, Israel's national security minister, Ben Gvir, says the solution in Gaza is not to bring peace, not to bring in a peace council. There isn't even a basis of discussing any kind of dialogue. In my vision, I see neighborhoods in Gaza, neighborhoods for Israeli police, Israeli soldiers, and Israeli military officers. Also, we're learning that from a report from CNN, did we tell you this weeks ago, that the actual casualty number from this catastrophic war in Iran, 600. According to CNN, 600 of our service members injured, 18 killed in action, although the Trump regime is now trying to reclassify the killed in action and injured as part of a new special operation. Not Epic Fury, a new special operation. Sound familiar right there? And while Donald, by the way, I think the number's 3 to 5x that. I think we're talking about thousands and thousands of casualties, injuries that are being covered up. serious traumatic brain injuries, very serious injuries, I believe, are being covered up by the Trump regime. Donald Trump is posting attacks on the Senate Majority Leader this morning. John Thune should not allow the United States Senate to leave town until it passes the Save America Act, or, far better still, terminates the filibuster, where the Republicans can quickly pass everything they ever dreamed of, including a full and deep-throated Save America Act, the budget, and the ever-looming debt ceiling disaster, 1929 exclamation point. I want to point out two things. First off, what a weird, perverted human being to refer to the Save America Act as deep throat. Deep-throated Save America Act. I mean, this guy is like a deranged lunatic. But also, do you notice what he says there? The ever-looming debt ceiling disaster, 1929. He's talking about the Great Depression, and he knows the Save America Act is not going to pass, and he knows that his policies will cause the Great Depression, another Great Depression. So what he sets up for is what he's done his entire life. He's now getting ready to find his next Fauci. Who's he going to blame the economic catastrophe on? 1929. And he'll say, we were so close to prosperity. It was right there in reach. All we needed was abolish the filibuster, pass the Save America Act, and everything I dreamed about, everything I promised you would have been delivered. But now 1929 happened because of Congress and the Senate. I was right about everything. They were wrong. That's his fraud scheme. He's done it his whole damn life. He's bankrupted everything. He's positioning right now the blame as we fall deeper, deeper, deeper into economic catastrophe. Pay very close attention to what he is doing right now. And then he's got his MAGA sycophants out there going on their propaganda networks like Newsmax and Fox. And so on Newsmax, you got MAGA Republican Jack Bergman. What do you think stands, and where do you think we stand in terms of the war in Iran? And this MAGA Republican's like, well, you know, that's a multi-thousand-year-old question. I'm going to blame Jimmy Carter. The United States has not been around thousands of years. The Iranian civilization has, so you don't need to say that. And you're going to blame Jimmy Carter. Why don't you blame the idiot in office? Why don't you blame the psychotic idiot in office who's out there posting deranged AI images of himself bombing Karg Island and engaged in war crimes while constantly saying, I'm going to open the gates of hell, running out of our interceptors, and then saying we're so close to making a deal? Why don't you derange that? Why don't you go after that deranged psychotic individual? Here, play this clip.
To you, Congressman. So 3 straight days, the United States paused attacks on Iran. The naval blockade remains in full force, holding strong. But behind closed doors, it's believed diplomatic channels are still ongoing, that diplomats hope to bring the two sides back to the table. Where do you think things stand right now in terms of the war with Iran?
Boy, that's a multi-thousand-year-old question. It really is. My first dealings with Iran and people from Iran literally started in the mid-'60s when my best friend, as a senior in high school, was an Iranian exchange student whose family was very prosperous, as Iran was before 1979. I'm not going to blame Jimmy Carter as a president, but the bottom line is he set that ball rolling when he allowed the radical Islamists to take over. So we've been.
Then you've got this MAGA Republican Congress member Fallon saying, well, I understand the Americans are suffering right now and affordability is a big issue, but that's Joe Biden's fault. That's Joe Biden. All the Americans know that it's Biden's fault. Here, let's play this clip.
No, and again, really quick, it's about the messaging and about affordability. Healthcare, housing. Poll after poll, Congressman, shows us that's where Americans are being hurt in the pocketbook the most. And then on top of that, you've got the energy shock. Real quick, final thought.
Sure. Joe Biden and the Democrats really did that. You were talking about affordability. That takes a couple of years to really kick in. And they spent trillions of dollars, really wasted trillions of dollars that caused massive.
Really, just going to blame everything on Biden forever. I mean, these people are so damn weak, so damn pathetic, huh? MAGA Republican Pat Fallon. What concerns me about the IRGC is that they're committed to watching their country disintegrate and rule from the ashes. Oh, it seems like you're referring to you and Donald Trump and the MAGA and what you're doing to the United States. Play this clip.
And what concerns me is the IRGC seems to be absolutely committed to watching their country disintegrate and not caring at all so long as they get to rule over the ashes. So they're trying to wait us out, get past the midterms. In their view, hopefully the Democrats will take over and cause President Trump, domestic problems so he can't continue to prosecute the war.
Well,
Then you've got this MAGA Republican this morning, Michael Ruley, and Michael Ruley's all like, we feel we're very good positioned right now for the election because we're going against the communists, the mini Mamdanis and the communists. Here, play this clip.
I think affordability is always going to be the key. In Ohio, we're seeing eggs, under $1. We're seeing bread hovering around $1. Gas is still in the $3 range. It's going to matter where, we're in the pocketbooks. But, I'm trying to help. Bernie Moreno and I are trying to help get John Huston, Vivek Ramaswamy elected. So we're campaigning like a badger out there. And we're seeing that the people, especially our base, they're very motivated by this communist movement. I think the Democrats had a bad playbook. You saw Nancy Pelosi last weekend saying, let's have this debate about communism in 2027. The people are going to be motivated. They were counting on the Trump voters staying at home. And the way they're acting and this extreme push towards the farthest of the left, I think is going to motivate the base and maybe will divide their base.
well,
Speaking of Mamdani, he's always asked now, can you explain your criticism of Netanyahu? And do you think it's dividing the people of New York? It's like, I'm the mayor of New York. I'm trying to make life more affordable for people of New York. That's what I'm fighting for every day. And saying Netanyahu is a war criminal, it's an objective fact. There's a warrant for his arrest from the ICC. It's an objective damn fact. Here, play this clip.
Do you take those concerns to heart? And what is your plan to bring down those temperatures?
So I think to your point, when I make criticisms of Prime Minister Netanyahu, they are criticisms of Prime Minister Netanyahu. And what I shared were not even, frankly, personal assessments. They were objective facts. And my responsibility as a New Yorker and as a mayor of this city is a responsibility to take care of each and every person who calls the city their home. And that is not based upon whether or not they agree with me, how they feel about me. My job is to make sure that they are safe, that they are thriving, and they continue to call this city home. And that's always going to be my North Star on how we can do that, because this is an incredible city. And it's a city where everyone needs to know that their belonging to it is not conditional on how they feel about the mayor.
And then more from Mamdani over here when they, just the way the corporate news and the establishment tries to attack this guy. They're like, do you think it's right for you to be there at the 9/11 memorial? And Mamdani's like, I'm going to be there with the survivors, with the people who lost loved ones, the first responders, and I stand in solidarity. What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
A number of people who are survivors of 9/11 are calling on you not to go to 9/11 memorial services. I wonder how you feel about the fact that they're trying to keep you away.
I will proudly honor the families, the survivors, the first responders forever impacted by that horrific terror attack by standing alongside them at this year's 9/11 commemoration, reaffirming that we will never forget the solemn day felt by all of us who call this city home, and frankly, by all of us who call this country home.
There you have it, everybody. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Did you get a copy of did you pre-order WTF America? Pre-order WTF America now if you can. Appreciate you. Hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.